Okay, prepare. It says preparing to live stream the meeting. By seeing this meeting, you consent to being live streamed. Anyone access can, okay, so got it. Do you hear me? Okay, we are live. Our first live our live podcast on YouTube.
Hello, world.
Hello. My name is G. I'm the co-host of the Coconut Connection podcast.
And I'm Jade Fox.
All right. So we're gonna try this. What is your, let's start with high-low. What is your low?
Ooh. Cowardly and petty coworkers who can't stand to see or hear other people be joyous and positive.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Iteration.
Yes.
It's a new, what happened to New Year, New Me?
It was I'd come back from the long holiday and I was just happy to see people because I didn't see them.
Yeah.
And I was being my normal, boisterous self. And can I tell you that HR decides, people, staff and attorneys have complained about the noise level. Can you be cognizant of your
noise level?
Right? It felt like that whole, the cops being called on us for noise disturbance.
Oh my
Horrible.
God.
Like, come on, people, really? Whatever.
That's like the opposite. Remember, like the episode before this, we were talking about how somebody got fired because they weren't fun enough at work.
Oh, that won't happen to me. That won't happen to me.
Okay.
What about you? What about you?
Yeah, like wait a minute. Hold on. Let me get my notes in here. Now see how you see this scarf situation right here? Because this is like really ghetto.
You were
Oopsie. This is the style. Everyone's gonna do it now. Everyone. Let's see. My low. I would have to say I know that's why I had to look at my notes because I was like, focus on one low, Glenn. Focus on one low. Having to wake up early again. I'm like, it's so nice and cozy in my bed and all the blankets that I don't use, but I just like feeling them. And the heater kicks on. Thank God for heater, even though everybody's utilities is going to go up 146%.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
Yeah. Yeah. So
how much more do they want from us?
I know. I'm just like, it sounds like price gouging to me. Like, when did the price of electricity or gas, like we're already paying for gasoline. Yeah. So
they know they can do it to us. It's corporate America.
Yeah, they know what they're doing because those corporates or CEOs are making a lot of money right now. Like,
millions.
They made money over the pandemic. We just want to live. Like, we just want to have heat. Like,
Thank you. Basic needs, people.
Basic needs. So that was my low, is that I keep on hitting snooze. Like, it starts at 5 a.m. and then I hit snooze until 5:30. That's what's been the norm. So, Johnny's like, why can't you just set your alarm to 5:30?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a mental thing. I'm like, oh, I still have time. So it's like, I tried that too. Like, but I have like 2 alarms going on at the same time. So I'm just like, I have one to the later time and one to the, and I just keep on hitting snooze like every 9 minutes.
I wish I could get up at 5 a.m. Mine is set for 4. I know. Don't judge me. I barely sleep and then I sleep late and I wake up early, but I don't know how I do it.
You don't need all that. You don't need all that resting time. I don't. I get very irritated. So thankfully, like the first 2 days of school, Johnny drove me to work because he was on vacation. So I was able, that first day, I actually took a nap going to work and coming back home. So I really, because first day of school back, you don't want to be late. So I was tossing and turning. It was that
sounds like a high to me. That napping in the car sounds like a high.
Yeah, the high for me during vacation was sleeping. Like I could sleep whenever, however, like 2 hours sleep. And like, no, I didn't have anywhere to go, anywhere to be, nothing to buy. I was like, I'm just gonna stay home. And I was able to do that. So that's for sure. But I would say today is a high because I get to wear lipstick today,
Ooh.
like so because at work we have to wear masks all the time. So it's like,
Oh.
so a couple of days coming back, I did wear lipstick and just like run the risk of just having it be all over my face or in my mask because I really miss wearing lipstick.
Mhm.
I put on makeup every day, but it's like it feels like the lipstick, especially red, completes the look.
It does. Lips complete the look for sure. Like I've been pretty bad about wearing my mask. I do wear it in crowded spaces,
Yeah,
when I'm with people,
exactly.
but I have been wearing it less. And that's because I wear lipstick, lip gloss.
Yeah, I'm
And I'm
like,
just like,
God,
dude,
let me
I
see.
can't.
So I have to do like the whole top part. Like I have to do all, like if I want to go and do something, I do my eyes and I do start like I wear like a little blush because eventually you take it off. Like say I'm eating lunch and then someone talks to me, like it looks like I'm not pale, like all here is made up and then nothing here. So but I always forget, oh my God, I didn't have lipstick or the lipstick wiped off. And it completes the look, right? It
It
completes the look.
does. So for the sake of vanity, I will, expose myself to COVID so I can wear my lipstick. So my high is that I've become more physically active, and the way that's made me feel. So I've been
Mm,
getting up early in the morning and
I love that.
making the effort to do at least 30 minutes,
Mhm.
and I feel really good. And I have to remind myself of that feeling of feeling
Yes.
great to keep going
Yes.
because it's hard.
Yeah, I keep on putting in my intention of like doing in the morning, but I'm like, I know myself. I can barely get up and I I have all these other rituals that I do that I feel like I need to do. But I just, if I only could, that would be the ideal of just like, going, working out or going to the gym in the morning and getting it over with. And, starting your day off right. Like you said, you feeling good. You look forward to that first, half an hour to hour to yourself for yourself before you give to
Yes.
everybody. So be like Jay, don't be like G.
Well, don't follow me
I'm
because
thinking like
I'll peter out. The
I need
rocket's
to
gonna
save the
peter
people
out.
on the world, like that extra time to sleep and everything like that.
Ask me next
Um,
week. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Well, okay, that's good. We'll keep it up. I'm trying to figure out where I can fit in, more activity. And I think it's right, like after work, before I go into the house. That's like the sweet spot. Because once I get in the house, I get tired and I fall
Mhm.
asleep, and then I get a second wind. So I guess the other optional thing would be after I nap, I should like do some exercise.
There you go. When you get a second win at 10 or
When I
11
get
at
the
night,
second wind, yeah, because I need to stay up till 12 midnight or more. Like there's something, I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm a night person. So now I'm like, okay, I got to do all these things. So that's where I do all the things that I need to do. All right. So happy New Year,
Yes,
everybody.
Happy New Year.
Uh, uh,
Chinese New Year's coming up soon.
Chinese New Year is coming up. It's the year of the rabbit. So I don't know anybody. I don't think I know anybody that's a year of a rabbit,
I
but
don't either.
I'm the rat.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm the rat. My dad was the horse, which is so ironic because horse
oh, that's
racing.
funny. My daughter's the horse. My son is a dog. And I am, of course, the biggest one, which is the ox, because I have to be a Taurus and
And
I
the
have to be the
ox.
ox.
So
So
you
there you go.
definitely, yeah, if you had any questions about your identity, there it is. Yeah, I don't know what my brother is. My other brother's a dragon. I know. It just sucks to me that mine's the rat because I don't like mice. So therefore I
No.
don't like rats either. So I'm like, but they're supposed to be like the most smart one on
Ah,
the
yeah.
zodiac. because they're very cunning and and I was like,
Interesting.
but
I
really,
have to look that up. I didn't know that.
you
that you were-
couldn't say like a guinea pig or maybe even a mouse, not it's a rat specifically, a rat. And
Hey, Ratatouille could cook. Ratatouille was
don't even get me
awesome.
started about Ratatouille. I cringe. I haven't watched the whole movie because I just refuse to. But there's one podcaster that I listen to, and he feels like Ratatouille is like the most perfect movie, and he's a chef, So I was like, yeah. So he said it's just perfect the way I guess the theme of the thing is about nostalgia, I think, or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he was saying how it's so true about like how food is like nostalgic and
triggers like a memory. It can trigger a memory.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
And I've never seen it. Don't care. I'm still not sold. A rat cooking in the kitchen? No.
Well, think of it like music, right? We just like music does that for us, where it triggers a memory,
music,
takes you back.
but not things that I've had my experiences with mice. So
Oof, no, I feel you, girl. I do.
I hear in New York they have rats the size of dogs.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Funny story because so in New York there's a statue where it's a rat and the balls are really big, right? Because it's a joke on that. Well, it's a joke on how the rats in New York have big balls, right? So it's funny because my daughter one day was like, oh, do rats really have, like, she really thought the rats had big balls. Like, okay, I started laughing. I'm like, no, girl, they're saying because they're ballsy. They're bold, But
the New York rats are ballsy.
They're you don't want to get into a fight with them. They'll knife you.
They'll show up everywhere. They're not hiding. Okay, so since we're talking about rats in New York City, I guess I don't know if it's New York City, but they put cameras on them because they go through the tunnels.
Yes.
And I'm just like, no, why am I watching this? It's just they have backpacks on. Like I feel like it's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles down there.
That's their sensei. Isn't that their sensei?
Yeah, that's right. That's the sensei. Oh my God. Like, no. No. But they were like bigger than Honey Girl. They're bigger than my dog.
My God.
That's how big the rats are. They're like probably the size of Rocco, but shorter and fatter. Oh, Lord.
Another reason I won't be visiting New York anytime soon.
I know. Well, anyway, let's change the subject on that. Well, today we're going to talk about Latinx and Filipinx. And I know this is like a term that's been, out in the world for a long time. I will say that. But I did wanted to talk about it on here because I don't think we have enough conversations about it. When I brought it up, to Jade, like it's not something that she's like, and it's not something I really think about. And I know, but you're seeing it more. And I see my colleagues have questions like, like what is it? And so it's not, what is that word? Something that it's a common knowledge thing. I think
it isn't. And I can tell you that I did not know much of the origin.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was researching it and so I was awakened to some things that I didn't realize.
Yeah. So I thought, well, let's talk about it. I mean, there's a lot into it. Like as I was doing, I mean, I've had some experience with it from the circles that I'm in. I've heard people talk about it. And then preparing for this segment, like I was like, let me just look it up and see. So the first thing, let's see. So let's look it up in the dictionary. So this word was added in the Merriam-Webster dictionary in September 2018. So it says Latinx was originally formed in the early aughts. Okay. Okay, dictionary. Don't I know we have to look up another word.
I gotta click on this one.
Aughts. If I was in New York, I'll be like Latinx was originally formed in the early aughts as a word.
I guess it's the 10-year period from 2000 to 2009. That's what.
Oh, that's what they call. That's what they call. See, I learned another thing.
So
that early aughts, that 2000 to 2010
is that 10-year period is the aughts.
That makes sense because what do you call them? The zeros? I don't like. Yeah, right.
Whatever.
Because then this like like now it would be the 20s for us, the 20s, the 20th search, because remember in 1920 it was the 20s, 1930s, the 30s, 19 like that. So I think you would start all over again, but you would call it, I guess they used to call it, what is it, the 19th century. 19th.
Girl, I'm like that meme of the science things going around, the woman's
Yeah.
like
Okay.
at an
So the early
island.
aughts, thanks for looking that up, is
Uh-huh.
considered the 2000 to 2010 era, like the decade.
2000, 2009.
2009, as a word for those of Latin American descent who do not identify as being of the male or the female gender, or who simply don't want to be identified by a gender. More than likely, there was a little consideration of how it was supposed to be pronounced when it was created. Nevertheless, people had attempted to assign some pronunciations to us. The most common way to pronounce Latinx is the same way you would the same way you would Spanish derived Latina or Latino, but pronounce the X as the name of the English letter X. So you get something like Latinx. Because they also have Latine, which is like they have Latine, which they said it's more consistent with the Spanish, because Spanish is, they don't have the X sound. So you would
like
say Latin, yeah, Latin.
Okay.
So anyway, that's where that came. So the reason why I bring it up right now is because that there was a question of like, should Filipinos, use that word too, Filipinx. So, where and when did you first hear the word Latinx?
Where did I first hear Latinx? I think it was on media. Like, I think it was on a show, or like it definitely was social media or somewhere where people said Latinx. Or was it a class that I took and I didn't quite understand? Of course, I didn't understand.
What class was this?
No, it might have been, I don't know. It might have been like a spirituality.
What's in a pole dancing class, right?
No, no, not at all.
That was yesterday's day born.
But no, yeah, I must have heard on social media or like some like spiritual sort of class that I might have taken. Yeah.
And did you think anything of it? Like, did you wonder, or it was like, okay, that's interesting?
I thought it meant, honestly, I'm going to be honest, at the time, you know what? It was a women's group thing. And they said Latin, and I just thought it meant that they were including, like that the women didn't, well, maybe I got it right. That I was thinking the women didn't want to be considered. Honestly, I didn't even know. I thought it had to do with something about women and women who didn't want to be
because you were in a
Latino.
Women group. Yeah,
yes,
you were in a women group. So there's some connection with
yes, there was a connection, but I didn't get the connection. So now I do. It's the non-binary, people who don't feel any gender,
Yeah, any gender. Like it's an interesting, language is an interesting thing. Like, that's true. You could just change the language, right? And make it what you want. So I thought that was a creative way. It's not like it hasn't been done before, right? It's like, what do you call certain people, like whatever they want to be called, right? But like, the gender thing, but also I was also thinking like people might identify that way because as the Spanish, say for example, in Mexico, or even like Chicanos, whatever, like that the whole culture was colonized by Spanish. So even their language was taken away and replaced by Spanish. So it's almost kind of like Xing out the language. So that's why with Filipino, it's the same thing like you said with the gender thing, but I also think it's also a decolonialized thing. Where it's like,
okay, I didn't think about that.
like I don't want to be called Filipina or Filipino.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to give power to the colonizer.
Interesting. I was curious about that, the difference, like the
so
article
I could
where
actually consider myself Filipinx. If I wanted to.
Okay.
So so that's one perspective of that. I think it's a generational thing as well, Like, I don't mind appropriating it, but then I'm like, it doesn't speak to me. And I think it's because of at my age. That's what
Yes,
I was thinking. Like, I don't feel the need to make that something, but I
I
do
agree.
acknowledge that people would use it.
Yeah. Like if someone says, yeah, this is how I want to identify with it, then I would respect that. I wouldn't use it
Like
for
if your
me.
daughter said, I want to
I'm
be
Latin, I'm
I'm
Filipinx, whatever.
Latinx and
Yeah.
Filipinx. I'm Latinx and
Then
Filipinx.
I would be like, okay, that's
That wouldn't be like a
allowed.
total, like a hard lift
No,
for you in your head.
no, no, not at all. You
Because
know
it
how
is
I
hard
feel. That's
lifting
good.
for some people. Like some
Yeah.
people, it's a
Yeah.
hard lift for them. Like, huh? You
Yeah.
wanna you identify as what now?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's harder when they're like, I want to be we've had this in in my discussions at work. Like, one a boy, I don't think he wants to be identified as a girl because I haven't officially heard him say that, but he does like for when we do games, like he'll put his name with the girl at the end of it. Like, so for example, if his name was like Frankie or Sunny or whatever, right? He'd put Sunny girl instead of Sunny boy. And
Okay.
I was like, all right. And I guess my colleague had gone to some kind of like his wife had gone to some kind of training, and they're like, yeah, something about being accepting of that. And I was like, oh yeah. And I told him the story, and he's like, wow, you're like ahead of it than I am because I'm
Yeah.
confused. But I'm
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter. I guess it doesn't affect me. I
Yeah.
think of things like, does it affect me? No. So I don't have to morally think about, well,
Yeah.
this is aligned with my morals. I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't affect me. He wants to be a girl today and a boy tomorrow. I don't care.
And I have to say, I think I'm lucky in that my kids educate me on the things that are happening like in the world or things like non-binary and gender
Yeah, you would need
and
somebody to explain it to
yes,
you.
because I don't like I'm old, like I am from that time, right? So it's having them be able to explain it to me clearly so that I can understand. Like I appreciate that because then I'm like, oh, okay, that then I don't offend somebody else, or
Mhm.
I can be understanding of, you know, their feelings or whatnot. And so that helps. It does help to have someone like you explaining these things, like a lot of the topics that we've had to me. That's really opened my eyes to things too. And would I have learned that without you? Probably not. But that's why I appreciate hearing it and being taught something that like I am unaware of.
Yeah, and we can't assume that everybody understands it. I guess should people understand it? I think if you're posed with it, like it's in your face and you have questions, you should ask for sure.
Yeah.
But I think, unless people like it's in your face, maybe they wouldn't question it. Like I said, like that conversation I had with another teacher was like, he was like that today born, like to figure
Yeah.
out what we do this. And I'm like, well, yeah, I encourage everybody to, my whole thing is like, whatever he wants to be called, then fine. It doesn't affect me, but I could understand he's like his wrapping his brain around it. Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? But I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, yes and no. It's not up for me to decide why they're doing whatever. But if you feel like you're in a safe place, then I'm all for it. I'm just like, okay, if that's gonna make you feel seen, then I will see that. He's never asked me to call him that though. He just puts it in on his like whatever nickname and stuff. But he's very open. Like, like there's certain things he will tell me, certain things he won't. So, and they're 8, 9, and 10. So yeah, we don't, I'm gonna tell you everybody this, there's no curriculum that teaches that like labeling kids at all.
Yeah.
I know that's out there in the world somewhere, somehow, even though show me where the curriculum says. But I would think that one of the themes that are in school is kindness and acceptance of everybody's diversity. So that's where I go. I'm like, you know what? Certain people want to be called certain things. Some people want to dress certain ways. they have their favorites of things, and that's it. Like that's what I told that teacher. I'm like, I say, okay, you want to be called that way, then you want to be called that way. And that, that student was just like, but they're asking me, why am I named that way? And I'm like, now that was another thing. I didn't stop class and like, let's have a lesson. I just said, you want to be called what you want to be called. And that's it. I think they're just curious because they're kind of wondering, but they can wonder.
Yeah.
And then he walked away. He's like, okay. It was like, he didn't tell me to tell everybody. Like, I was kind of like, what are you asking me to do? Do you want me to have like a class discussion, or do you want me to pull those kids out? But no, I didn't. I just said, okay, so you want to be called what you want to be called? And they just have a question. That's it. And then he's like, all right, that was enough. And then I don't want to push kids if they're not ready, like, and I think that contrary to everyone's belief, we're not teaching the kids to be anti-white or racist, like discriminatory. We're not teaching them about their identity. I think that comes within. And I think common sense tells you that your identity comes from within. Like, I don't know. Or maybe it's different in other places. I just don't remember people like, hey, okay, sit me down and be like, you are this and you have to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I remember my parents being like, no, they didn't really push dresses on me either. But they did remind me I was a girl many times, because there's this thing called double standard.
Yes.
The boys can do it, but the girls can't. So that's for sure. So why isn't anybody up in arms about that? Why are you telling me you're teaching me my identity? I just think it's a double standard, not a double-edged sword. It's a double standard. So, what is your opinion on these terms? Do you think it's a fad? Do you think it'll slowly go away? Is it a beginning of something and it's going to end somewhere else, or this is it? Like this is going to be in our culture or in our language forever?
I think that is probably going to be around for a long time. Maybe something else will come along. Like maybe they'll not banish certain, maybe it'll be where it's all gender neutral, and, you don't have to say Latinx or Filipinx. But I do believe that the terms, that have these terms will probably stay for a long, long time. I don't personally know anybody who uses, who says that in conversation with me. So that's why it's not something that I'm around constantly. Perhaps my daughter is, because she's around more that generation, or, the younger generation. But I know I work with a lot of older people, you know what I mean? Very conservative, so they don't, I think they are not hesitant, but they don't care to use or know.
They're like not excited to use it.
They're not like, open.
Okay, now I finally have a term that speaks to me.
Yes, they're not open to that. I can barely, we can barely get them to say they them, right? Like we can barely get them. Like, I don't get it. But
I was trying to tell the same teacher about that. Oh yeah, like if you don't, it's like, because he was like, yeah, they were talking about they them. And he goes, I was like, granted he's older, he's an older gentleman, and he's like, I was like, what? And my thing is like, I think that's cool. Like, I'm like, cool.
Yes.
I love like new things. It makes sense to me. I guess that's why I'm not really rattled. It just makes sense. That there's not one thing. You're not one thing. It's we're many things. I'm just not a woman, are identifying as woman. I'm also an American. I'm also a Filipino American, which is different from someone who grew up and was born in the Philippines. You know what I mean? Like there's so many to us, layers of us, that how can you actually tell especially a child, but anybody, be like, no, you are this, and that's it. Yeah. You have to be this way because the Bible says, Yeah. Well, the Bible says a lot of other things too that you just left out,
I feel bad if I unintentionally offend somebody, because I'm so new to the, when and my daughter always says, "Mom, if you don't know, it's they, them. That's nothing. It's not difficult. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
difficult.
true.
They use it's proper English.
Yeah.
They like this, let's include them." And she says that it gets her so upset when people purposely, or not even want to try to call someone by the gender they want, like at work.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
her supervisor it goes by they, them, but everybody's like,
Mhm.
I don't, she, and they know,
That's
but
what
they're not
it
conscious
feels like a
about it.
heavy lift for people. Like
Mhm,
this is
mhm.
gonna change rock my world if
It
you
is,
make me
it
call
is.
you them. It's like, really? Are we like putting you in chains? Like,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
not
gonna
hard. If
happen.
I make a mistake, okay, I'm sorry. Like I made, but try, like, be conscious
Yeah,
about.
just try. I think people appreciate trying. Like, if you
Yes.
get it wrong, you got it wrong. But it's not like a total. It's not no one. You're not gonna break anybody with that.
No.
I think violence against LGBTQ is worse.
Ah,
But this is one thing you could do to be more inclusive.
yes,
The
inclusivity.
Bible says
Exactly.
to be good to everybody. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, it didn't talk about labels then. So
Be a good person. How about just be a good person?
I know. And then
People
some
forget.
people are like, well, labels, it's like, okay, then the opposite is true, right? It's like, we shouldn't be living through labels. It's just, we're just people. And it's like, yes and no. Some you want to be called, what do you want to be called? Like, I do want to correct people when they spell my name wrong.
Mhm.
Or if they say my name wrong, like, I'm gonna check them, right? Like, I'm like, nah, it's not
Yeah.
that. Are you gonna be like, well, I guess people say, oh, it doesn't matter how you spell your name, it doesn't matter that. It's like, but if it matters to that person, then respect it. It's part of
Yeah.
who they are. Um, Now, should Filipinos use it? That's my other question. Because it
I
derived from Latin, like Latinos
does
and
it feel like
Latinas.
appropriation though to you? Like, does that
That's what the question is. Is it appropriation? Like, should they
this is tough
take
for
that
me.
idea?
Like, appropriation's tough because I never want to like, I never know, like, am I, even for myself, like, is it appropriation? I don't know. Like, if it's, and is it offensive for Philippine X people to want to use that term also? I can't honestly say. I don't know how I feel about that, because I never want to feel like I'm appropriating something, but what is that, right? Like, how do you know? Like, my daughter's good at telling me whether or not, she's like, Mom, if you're overthinking it, then you're, you probably are, like, like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't think too deeply about it. Like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Um, but I come from a place of never wanting to offend or take someone's culture, or, that I'm so conscious about it that I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't know how to like, what to feel about it. I just don't want to pick the wrong thing. I mean, but I don't know. But what do you think? Because I'm not sure.
I don't
Like,
know. I mean, I could see both sides. Like, I could see, you know, um, like, say, a Latino, because I just say Latinos. I do say Latinx, but not that much. I do say,
mhm,
but like, even that is kind of like making me think, right? For Latinos, you're saying all, right? And it's like, but it's such a what patriarchal thing.
yes,
Say
yes,
the male is the first, and it's just include the female in there, just like stick them
yeah,
there. And that's another reason why it's the X, right? Like, um and so when I'm thinking about that, I'm also thinking like okay, so they're like, well, that's our word, not your word, find another word, right? I could see somebody saying that,
mhm,
because they're taking it back. And I was like, oh yeah, me
yeah,
too, like, me too, I'll take it back too.
yeah,
I see the other side, because we've both been colonized by the same colonizer,
yes,
if not, and it wasn't called the Philippines before the King Philip came. So we're named after the colonizer, and then Filipino came from what I understand, if people can correct me, came from how to separate, the indigenous and, say, people under, you know, the Spanish rule, and it was a way to label people, right? So you were Filipino, so technically we're not Filipino because we were not, of that generation, that time, not born there, nothing, right? But then what are you, So I see it, and we share the same language almost. Like there's a lot of Spanish words that are in the Filipino language, and it even sounds Latin, Filipino and Filipina, and it does refer to their gender. So I see that side too. And at the end of the day, I say, whatever speaks to you, if you feel good about that, you should be speaking. And the other side, they should, I guess, if they want to check them, they could check them. Be like, why do you like to be called Filipino? Like, what is your reasoning behind Filipinx?
Yeah.
I guess you can have that conversation, because you have to have a reason to do things, not just to do things because it's on
correct. I agree with you there.
That I think is appropriation. When you're like, I'm gonna wear cornrows and like, and beads in my hair. You know what I mean? Like, why are you doing that? And what is it that you know about this hairstyle? Like, I would technically feel that way, because you just can't. That's a really sticky situation too. Like hairstyles and stuff like that. And the way you dress that's a whole other thing about talking about appropriation and cultural appropriation. But in terms of this word, and I think it could be applied to that. But I get the problematic. It's problematic because then what if everybody else did it?
Yes.
I don't know. You would have a Portuguese and
no,
what else is it? Like Spain wanted to conquer a lot, so
this will be interesting. If now, when I think about it, will those words exist for a long time? What if someone says, you know what, we want to we need a word that includes us all. Like no
there's
matter.
not a lot of people that use Afro-American. Like ask my husband, like he's like, just call me Black.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He doesn't even like African American. Some people don't like African American because it sounds like you're from Africa,
Okay.
like, well, but they can't really say that because we don't know where everybody came from because they were all enslaved. You know what I mean? Like, it's problematic. So I think it just, Johnny's like, no one, I don't ever respond to Afro-American, you know? But see, that term kind of went away. Like, it's more like they're African American or Black, right?
Yeah.
Black is usually you're from America, or you're from Africa. So that's why people are like, I don't connect to Africa. My descendants maybe, but I'm Black. So it's like that kind of thing. And I think those are good conversations to have.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what I wonder. I'm like, is it going to be something that stays, or is it just it's transition? Because like you said, you haven't heard it yet in our generation. Like I said, that's why I asked, I'm like, what about your daughter? Does she say that I'm Latinx or Filipinx?
She does
right?
not.
So I don't know. I don't know if that will change. Like,
you know what? She just says she's Asian and Mexican. That's how she says it. I don't think I've ever. Well, she does say Philip. She does say.
Yeah, I was like, damn, she decided.
She actually does say.
I'm just
she does
like
say
a random Asian. I'm vague.
No, I've heard her say, like, she jokes with her brother, like, you're Filipino. So she does say Filipino. I've never heard her say Filipinx. I have not heard her say that.
Yeah.
And that's probably for that reason. Maybe she feels Latinx belongs to the Latinx community, and it's not something that but I'm guessing here.
Could be.
Don't quote me. She's never said, and she'll probably read me about it after. But I will let you know what she says. I will let you know what she says. I'm going to talk to her about this and ask her what she thinks.
All right. You're up. Call to action.
What do you think of these terms, Latinx or Filipinx? Is it relevant to those of Philippine descent? Is it necessary? Where do you stand? If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate us so we can receive more visibility and grow our audience. We would love to hear from you. You can leave us a voice message on the Anchor app. You can also leave a comment on our social media pages like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search for The Coconut Connection. Our handles are in the show's notes. or you can email us at coconutconnection, the number 2 at gmail.com.
Okay. So,
You talk about appropriation. I'm like, I'd love to like have a segment. Us to have like an episode about that, because I think I would love to delve deeper and understand like more of what is like appropriation and I don't know. I'm always curious about that, because I'm
yeah.
not educated enough to know. Like, I'm always like, but can't I just love like a hairstyle, or and because I love it and I have respect for it, but I guess I'm not understanding. I want to understand really the history and why it is something that is not proper for just anybody to do or wear. That's not of that heritage.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just think
I
that's interesting.
mean, yeah. I mean, I think Filipinos also are under kind of get that backlash of, well, you want to be Black
Mm-hmm.
because we love hip hop. We've followed hip hop from the beginning, like R&B. I just feel like we are connected that way in music all the time. Um, the problematic thing is because we've been colonized by both Spanish, Japanese, and the big one is America. That
Mm-hmm.
America, and this is for the whole world. They would always like everybody strives to be American, like the trends and the dances and the clothing and stuff like that. So I would think, well, yeah, we are influenced by that. I've heard like Bruno Mars being like criticized of cultural appropriation.
Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely a real thing. But I love to have that conversation about that, because even if we don't have any answers, like I think it's something to think
Yes.
about when and be cognizant of. If you do adopt something that is a cultural thing, be ready for someone to read you or check you,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to do that, then you better be ready. You just got to be ready. And I think they, depending on circles, like I think people have the right to ask you. You might not have to respond or don't want to respond, but that's something. If that's something specific to your a certain assigned to another culture, just be ready to, I don't know, talk about it, I guess.
I like that. I'd love to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So this part, of the podcast is it's like a newer segment for me, but this one is called like Jade Explores. And so the idea behind the whole Jade Explores is that in my younger years, there were tons of activities, that I wanted to try, but because of the lack of resources, encouragement, self-confidence,
Mhm.
courage, that all kept me from like exploring any possibilities. I find that as I've gotten older and I'm getting close to like cresting that hill, I look back at my life, you glance back and you see things that you perhaps didn't do in your youth, that I feel sometimes melancholy and kind of regretful that I wasn't able to do.
Mm.
And when I look forward, right, I see that, hey, I only have a certain amount of time left. I know that sounds,
Midlife
yes,
crisis.
I know, right? Like, but
Existential
there's
crisis.
an
What am I
existential
here for?
crisis. But so it's like, I only have so much time and health left. I gotta, when am I gonna do it? Right? When am I going to? So I want to like go forth, and seek out things that like spark my interest or my curiosity, and do it without fear, without doubt, hesitation, negative thoughts. And
Mhm.
I feel like I'm finally ready to like nurture my body, and my spirit, and become more physically active,
Mhm.
perhaps like encourage my creative endeavors and fulfill like the yearnings inside my soul.
Yeah.
So I know that it's not always going to be neat, it's not going to be structured and it won't be pretty, but it will be raw and it'll be honest and it'll be entertaining, hopefully.
Mhm.
um I'm hoping that I might discover something new within myself, maybe rediscover the childlike parts of myself that became lost along the way. And I'm hoping that others find the courage and inspiration, humor, and empowerment through my own failures and or success. So in 2023, and as long as I'm able, you'll find me chasing rainbows, right? Embracing my most authentic self and attempting to live my best life. My new motto, at least for myself for now, is if not now, when? So on that note, I decided, I want to try pole dancing. Okay. So I looked it up. The studio is called Beehive Pole Studio in Pasadena, California. The instructor, her name is Gail Gillis. And so people wonder, well, why did you want to try pole dancing? Well, as you know, I'm
deep down inside, you wanted to be a stripper.
Because I'm in love with
You
the
want to,
stripper.
the heels, the heels, the lashes, the glitter.
Girl, I wish, I'm telling you. So, as you know, like I'm turning 50 this year, and I wanted to try things on like my ongoing list. It's not so much a bucket list, right? It's more like a wish list of things that I maybe had no courage to do previously. So for pole dancing, I always came up with like an excuse not to do it. I was too heavy. My toes weren't done. Oh, this place didn't have parking. Oh, it was too far. It was always something I came up with walls to stop me. But I said, since this podcast like encourages us to like, grow and be creative, like I felt maybe this is a good time, like opportunity for me and the segment to get out of my comfort zone and try new things. So I figured, why not? I have to say it's so funny. So I looked up this place. I found it. When I was looking previously, there were no things, like not in Pasadena, not close. And when I saw this place, my first impression, I was like, oh, at first it was like, great, I can take a class, there's nothing, so I'm going to do it. But I looked up the photos, on the on Google Maps, and I was like, oh my God, this place is kind of like seedy, it just, the photos did not do it justice. Okay. And I was kind of like, oh man, this kind of looks, I don't know. I was a little bit nervous, and I was like, I'm going to have my husband drive me, because just in case,
So it was it in Pasadena?
It is in Pasadena.
Okay. So that's probably why it looks vague.
It was, yeah. Did you see?
I'm pretty sure if you go to like WeHo,
yes,
it'll be out in like with like shining
neon
lights.
Yeah, neon lights, pretty like
Pasadena,
curtains.
girl.
It was like boarded up, like the thing next door had like boarded up windows. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is this for real?
Like suburbia / like gentrifiers, but not just gentrifiers, like old people, like older people and stuff.
And it looks like it was
They're not gonna like hear you.
Yeah, exactly. What if I scream? Is anybody gonna hear me? Like it was really sus. Okay.
Because they wanted to keep it, kosher. They wanted to. We just don't do this. They probably do other stuff too, right? Other dancing stuff.
No.
Right? Okay,
no,
so maybe they just wanted to keep it like vague.
You know what? I believe that, because when you look at it, you wouldn't know. Like you wouldn't know there's poles in there, and the lights are like, purple or whatnot. But it does look nondescript. So you're correct. It probably was like, hey, we don't need to attract attention to the location.
Yeah.
So when I got there, I was a bit nervous, and let me tell you, you have to be in a sports bra and biker shorts. And now,
like nothing that's gonna like get in the way.
Correct. But how we feel about our bodies. And to be like, shit, I have to be in a room full of people.
Yes.
Like half naked. So I was fucking nervous. Okay. And I wasn't sure like how other people would be. Would they judge me? Could I take it? Could my ego take it? Like my confidence, if people looked at me and was like, what the hell is she doing here? And I did feel like I was probably the oldest, only because I knew I was the oldest. Everybody else looked, fairly younger.
Not too young.
Not too young. No,
Yeah,
there was a
not like
mix.
18 years old.
No, there was no 18. There was,
Yeah.
I would say the 20s to like about
Yeah.
maybe early 40s,
Yeah.
like about there. So I felt like the oldest. And it was clean. It was, they had it was sanitary, like they had alcohol spray and wipes for you to like, well, that too is to keep the pole from being slippery, but you could spray, keep everything sanitized. The poles were
Okay.
distant. So it
Okay.
it felt comfortable in that sense. You could walk in with sweats and whatnot, and they do like a warm up. So you go, when I first got there, I was like, oh my God, the door's not open. Shit. Like I have to call this person, and I felt like all stupid and nervous. But she just was running late. So when we got there, it just got crowded quickly. Like there was a lot of people in this class that wanted to take this class. And so I chose like a poll, and I'm like, okay, this looks like the back. This looks like the back of the room. We're gonna be good. I was fucking
front of
right
room.
next to the freaking instructor at the front of the room. And like it was nice after the warm up. The warm up kind of sucked because you had to be on your knees, and when you're heavy,
Yeah.
like, not.
Well, I have bad knees, so I can't do it. I
Oh,
would have to, and then I would have to have help up because I just can't. My knees don't work.
yeah, it was painful, girl. Like I was like, oh my God, my
Yeah.
poor knee, but we had mats and stuff. They give mats.
Okay.
And then you're able, okay, then she's like, okay, time to take off the clothes. So surprisingly, I wasn't so self-conscious after everybody took off their clothes because
Yeah.
we were all in the same boat.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I didn't think at all about, oh my gosh, what do I look like? Like I was so focused on her instruction, just trying to do like a good job. And like her body, of course, like was amazing,
Right.
but the first trick that she showed us was like around the world, which is, you kind of like swing around the pole. And I was like, hey, you know what? I got this. This is like,
Mhm.
I could do this. I mean, it was a little work, but I was like, hey, I think I can do this in the long haul. So we were all going through it. We did different sides. And the next move was like the chair.
Mhm.
And the chair was a little harder. It was part around the world, but you had to lift your legs, and like you could either cross them like you're sitting in a chair or
Oh,
lift them up like you're sitting in a chair.
yeah.
And
That's
so,
arm strength. Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
the core strength these women
Yeah.
have,
Core. Mhm.
newfound respect, girl, because my poor little, see these little hands? Imagine these little hands trying to hold up 150 plus
Yeah.
pounds of this. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen. Like
Yeah.
it was tough. I was able to get a little bit, but of course I don't have the core strength to do it. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay,
And it
okay,
takes
that's
practice too,
it
like can't expect
does.
you to like, oh, pick it up in one shot. It's like, no, this all takes a lot of time, repetition, and practice.
And she did say that, to her credit, she's like, don't feel discouraged, guys. It takes time. You're not going to get it like the
Mhm.
first time. So I was like, okay, so still feeling a bit confident, like, okay, I got this, Then she's like, okay, now the pants come off. And we're like, okay, her pants were coming off because she wore like these capri pants.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh my God, what is she going to do? And so she showed us a thing called the climb, where,
Mhm.
she gets herself on the pole and she climbs all the way to the top.
Yeah.
And then she slides back down, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, not today.
yeah,
Not
not
today.
today. That ain't gonna happen.
Not
That's
today,
not gonna
March.
happen to me. No. And we all kind of were laughing, like the people around me were just
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like there's no way, it's not gonna happen.
Mhm.
But it did, like she did come around to people and she would show you physically,
Yeah.
hold on to you or whatever. And so when she held my leg onto the pole and I forced myself up, I could do it.
You could do it.
I could
Yeah.
do it. But I have to say, everybody else, I think, were better at it than I was. Like
Mhm.
they just had better core strength, and I just was flailing like nobody's business. And that kind of deflated me just a bit. And, but it made me realize, I, if I want to pursue this, like I don't like to say lose weight, but I mean, to be realistic, like I just have to strengthen my core and lose a bit of weight only because I know myself. Like
Mhm.
if I cannot physically heft myself into any direction, like it's not going to work. whatever. And maybe if I practice, like maybe I can see why women have poles in their homes. You know, they can practice in
Yeah, they
private.
can practice anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, and they could just build that strength because you do have to do it, I would think, often, you know.
Mhm.
But can I tell you that the days after, girl, I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't even
Yeah.
roll myself out of bed. My upper body was
Yeah,
just,
because you're using all your muscles. Yeah.
it's a great workout. You know,
Mhm.
it's a great workout, but it's humbling to say the least because I thought,
Yeah.
I got this. And, no, I got nothing, girl. The chair, no. More like
Well,
the
that's why
sofa for
when
me.
well, that's why when J-Lo did the Super Bowl and they're like, oh my God, they put a stripper pole in the middle. It's like, first of all, it was just a pole
Uh-huh.
because nobody was stripping. She was fully clothed. It was just in a stocking, a body sock. But I was just in awe of just like the athleticism of what she learned because she's
Yes.
not a stripper, so she had to learn it.
No.
If you ever see Hustlers, there's this one whole part that she was like, oh my God, like she had to learn, and it's very athletic. It's very athletic, and she's she doesn't have a lot of weight, but it was hard for her because again, you're using muscles that you don't usually have, and you're trying to look like you've done this before.
And
So
they make it look so easy.
like
So
to
easy.
just focus on there's children on the, but there was no like that's a pole.
Yeah.
But I would say yeah, so watch Hustlers. That
It,
that
at,
was,
the
but
athleticism is real. The
yeah, that's how I was like,
athleticism.
wow, why are these women criticizing the Super Bowl? But Adam Levine can actually be naked and say he has pants on. That's it. He's naked. J-Lo had a body
Exactly.
stocking on that was skin toned, and I was like, why are we getting mad about this? Like, why can't we just treat it like, wow, like, Adam Levine didn't do any of that. He just took off his shirt and everybody's like, ah, the same women that were criticizing J-Lo for doing a pole dance. But I was like, nah, dude, that's hard. That's hard. She's not gonna be
It's
like, nobody was holding her up, man. And nobody was holding her. She had to do the climb and she get to the top, and then because it was at the
oof.
top of the pole because everybody was below the pole. So I
And
will,
she did it in that, if she did it in that bodysuit, that's harder because you need that skin
yeah,
contact to
because you
like
know the sticky,
have
yeah,
this.
you want the stiff.
Yes.
So for her to do that for that, I don't know, 30 seconds or whatever, and then and fully clothed, that was amazing. I will say
Mhm.
another thing that's kind of related to what you said was that so we have this tetherball pole that they sometimes there's balls on it, sometimes there's not. But somebody brought it to my attention. They're like, look at these girls. And I look across the playground and they were pole dancing. I was like, where did they get that
Work,
from?
work.
That were real. They were like, they weren't just like, let me just swing around the pole. You know what I mean? Like you just swing
Yeah.
out, climb the pole. No, it was like literally like they were trying to hook their leg in and do that spin.
Whoa.
Oh, oh no, what are you watching? But I was like, well, at least they're exercising.
The tip that people don't know is I didn't know this either, but the poles, they do twist, they do turn. So that helps in those
Yeah, the
moves where they're,
rotation. Yeah,
yes,
that's what
yes,
I noticed too on the pole shoes. It felt like it was, spinning. So that's
yes.
gonna help with the
It,
momentum, right? Because you're doing all these tricks.
yes, it does. It
Yeah,
does.
that's amazing though. It's not easy. Not everybody can do that. Like
No,
even
like
if you're a trained stripper, you couldn't. You
not even.
you
That's
can
why
only do
like
certain things. Like I don't think. I
like
guess that's why. I guess
sorry.
that's why they have like this different types of like whoever lives in the strip, whoever works in the strip club, right? Like you have, the one that dances, the one that pole dances, and the one that just serves
Yes.
the drinks. That would be me
Yes. Yeah.
serving the drinks.
I would be the one collecting the money. No, but yeah, so my final thoughts on the whole thing is like we talked about, like it truly left me in awe, of these dancers, and I discovered like a newfound respect and admiration in their strength, their technical skills, their artistry, and their confidence.
Mhm.
And I'm proud of the fact that I did my best, that I didn't get discouraged and I wasn't down on myself or depressed. Like I'm proud of that I did not go there,
Mhm.
with my confidence. I do believe that one can master the pole, no
Mhm.
matter the age, shape, or size. I think it just involves, confidence, consistency, persistence, practice, and strengthening of like the core muscles. Will I keep going? I'm not sure. I have 2 more classes left,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna see where my headspace is at after that. Who knows? Maybe next time you see me, there'll be a pole behind me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I was like, that'd be good for Harry. I mean, that would be good for your husband. Um, yeah, I mean, I think, to anything to really know if you want to invest something, you got to do it a couple times. Like doing it once is not enough. Like, yeah, it's gonna be hard. Like, but you expected it was gonna be hard. You
Yes, I
didn't
did.
think like, whoa, now I'm gonna just drop everything and do that, focus on that. So the expectation, I would think it would, if you really wanted to keep doing it, like then hopefully that would be enough motivation to be intentional about the things to make your learning easier.
Mhm.
So, but you won't know unless you do it, So the
Exactly.
dangerous part is that I think is saying like that's not for me yet because I have to lose weight. Like that might be a trap because then it's when like there's like, okay, well, whenever that happens,
Mhm.
whenever. But like you said, time's a ticking.
Yes.
If you ever get ready at, well, I don't know, like 65, 70 years old, that's a totally different barrier. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
like broken bones barrier now, like so yeah, I hope you stick with it to see the progress. Cause I mean anything like, just thinking about my art, like just looking at like old sketchbooks, I'm like, wow, cringe, like major cringe, like oh, even though I don't think I'm great now, but I was just like, damn, I can see the progress though. Like I'm glad I didn't give up
Yeah,
or
you've been doing it from over a year now, correct? You're drawing like you've been doing daily
yeah,
over a
I think
year?
it's been about a year or so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It must
But
be
like
like,
even when I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna, it wasn't even like I wanted to be. I was like, I just want a sketchbook and just see and what I know. And like I just recently because I converted my craft room into we call it this I call it the studio now and my husband's like, no, it's the craft room, but I call it the studio because I want to move all my paint stuff up there because I've been doing it in like the dining room. And I stumbled upon an old sketchbook and I was like, and I was just gonna put it away and put it in the garage, but then it was so cringe. I was like, no, this is good. This is good. That means that it worked. Like it was like maybe like 5 years ago. And I'm like, this means
wow.
something, right? So like I would
Wow.
not know, like I was like, oh, I didn't grow as much as I thought I would. But no, I did. I did grow a lot more. Like I'm a little bit more confident. So yeah, I definitely wanted to hear and on our Instagram we are going to be posting um Jade's videos of the things that she explores. Yeah. Well, that is the end of our first live podcast. I if you're listening to this on the podcast on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere you hear podcasts. But you want to see us, come to our YouTube channel, The Coconut Connection, and any other videos that we post. If we do post any, it'll be up on our IG or it'll be up in our
Yes.
YouTube. So
Thanks for spending time
come,
with us today. It
yes,
was really fun.
yes, thank you so much. All right, let's see. Now, how do I end this? Okay, wait, let me see. Okay, wait. I'm trying to, there's a delay. Must be a 30-second delay because I'm still
We'll just freeze in place.
yeah.